Rose, we are spilling the absolute tea today. We are talking about what? Our favorite topic.
I think it's everybody's favorite topic.
This episode teaser got the most traction on Instagram. If people want to know what we have to say about mean girls in our industry.
It's a it's definitely a hot topic and something that I feel like is taboo to talk about, and it's in every industry. It really is.
I feel like some people are very scared for what we're going to say right now.
Yeah, scared or excited or both.
Don't worry, Mom. We are going to keep it legal so that we don't get sued.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to start it off with I just want to introduce my Esty bestie. This is Rose. Rose and I go back. We worked at a practice together. We instantly fell in love. And, now Rose is on her own, entrepreneur, businesswoman. I've since left that practice that we started in together. And we're here.
Yes.
And we've partnered up. We're coming we're filming this podcast actually from Rose's beautiful office space, and she's in Wall, New Jersey. So you have to definitely check her out. I'll put all the information in the show notes. But this is Rose, and she is a beautiful esthetician. So she does awesome skincare treatments, but she is also testament to some of the horrible things that happen in our beauty industry because we do superficial things, Rose.
Yes, we do, and yeah, it's pretty wild what I've experienced in various people. It wasn't necessarily one environment; it was several different environments in different situations. So I've definitely grown from the experiences, but yeah, that's.
So let's talk about community over competition, which, when that blanket statement first started coming about on social media, I was actually really excited. I was like, okay, wow, yes, finally we're moving out of this everybody works in a silo mentality to now okay, this is actually going to be acceptable for people to build community with other providers that do the same thing as them. But that's a fucking sham.
Yeah, it is a sham. It's a sham. It's more competition than community, unfortunately.
Yeah. I feel like they basically just took a saying and created another toxic space to be competitive with one another and called it kumbaya, let's just be friends with everyone and support people. So there's a lot of that of at least in what I'm seeing, and I'm sure you've experienced too, is people pretending to be supportive when really they're just tearing you down.
100%.
So why does this conversation matter, especially to you, Rose? What's been the emotional labor of staying kind in this cutthroat environment?
I feel like I can I don't know how to put into words. I think that staying kind is super important, and definitely knowing who's genuine, who's not genuine. It took me some time to realize. I feel like I'm kind to a fault,
Yeah.
and I feel like my patients and my clients, I draw that energy as well, and I love what I do and my passion is there, so I think that's what keeps me kind.
And it's authenticity, I think, too, is
Yeah.
because you're kind and that's you. So you staying true to that and not trying to fall into some other category of being somebody that you're not. Same with me is I am a girl's girl. I like to, support the girls and do the things.
Yeah.
And that's just me. So me trying to be something else would be inauthentic. And I
Right.
think that there's a lot of inauthentic people that gravitate towards our industry. For instance, I've come across some people that really didn't go into this because they love and want to do these treatments on people to get them to feel better. It becomes more of a glam show for them, and they feed their own ego with that. Whereas you and I went into this because we really do want to make other people feel beautiful and confident, and it becomes about the patients and not us.
Right.
Especially in the treatment room, we're not in there talking about us all the time, or it's about the person that you're doing the treatment on. So I think that creates a lot of toxicity.
Absolutely.
Too.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, let's talk about a little bit about your backstory. How did you get into aesthetics? Like, what's your signature style, and what makes you stand out?
So I come from a background of plastic surgery. I think that my history, where I started with plastics, I was worked at the office for 11 years. I started there as more administrative. I got a lot of people experience,
Mm-hmm.
and I was really young. I was only, I think, 24, 25 when I started there, maybe even younger, maybe
And you
even
got to
23.
see like a lot of the back end things, like
Yes.
the nitty gritty.
Yes. And plastic surgery in general is such a smoke and mirrors type of environment, like what you think, and especially the practice I came from, it wasn't all like cosmetic and facelifts and tummy tucks and breast dogs. We did a lot of reconstruction. I saw a lot of patients that were going through breast cancer or skin
Mm-hmm.
cancer or, some sort of trauma or injury. So I feel like that humbles you as well and it doesn't discriminate. And I feel like that also makes my position now super unique and my style unique because I have that exposure for many years. And then
Mm-hmm.
I got into skincare by wanting, of course, I always enjoyed it. And my mom worked for a dermatologist actually growing up. So we were always like on a regimen,
Yeah.
and like anti-Accutane. You had a pimple, it's like you had Accutane or Proactive, and that was like the only things. So I've always really loved skincare and makeup and, being girly. And I just saw this opportunity to kind of develop that skill and go back to school while I was working. I did night school. I worked all day long, full time, mom,
As a mom.
as a mom, going through a really tough season in my life,
Yeah.
but went through it, did night school for about 10 months and got licensed. And that's how I started. And I kind of think that makes my style unique because of my exposure to a different part of aesthetics
Yeah,
and plastic
definitely. I think
surgery.
plastic surgery also contributes because you get to see like other aspects of not just beauty, but like you said, reconstruction. It's like how to put things back together.
Yep,
And then you're dealing with these patients that also have a emotional component of having to put that back together. So
absolutely.
it's
Yep.
it's definitely all encompassing. What was your first taste of industry toxicity?
Oh, well, industry toxicity. So my first taste of it, and I'm trying to be
We're gonna be
tactful
PC.
here, trying to be tactful. So, granted, I was new and I had just graduated, and luckily, and I look at this with fondness, but I was luckily able to be involved in a plastic surgery office. And if you're in school and you're a student and you're listening to this, it's really difficult to get into that kind of industry. It's really hard. How did you get into plastics? How did you get into derm, and being in a medical setting? So I was really lucky to be in the position I was in. So I do appreciate that. However, my a coworker, colleague of mine, who was old enough to be my mother,
Oh, yeah.
was the first taste of competition.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't see it right away. I didn't expect it because, to be honest with you, I never really like had a taste of that level of toxicity,
Yeah.
or um I don't know, just like this threat like maybe I was to her. I'm not really sure, but I experienced, and I can give the example of it, was I was new, and in school you don't really learn like these specific peels, this specific
Mm-hmm.
machine. And especially medical grade, they're not teaching that in school.
Right.
They teach very, very basic, superficial type things. So when you go into a medical office and you don't have experience, you really look for help and you look
Like a
for a
mentor.
mentor, and you want, that person's experience, or at least to shed some light on their experiences. And to my face, it was, yes, I did this too, and I went through this too, and very
Mm-hmm.
supportive to my face.
Right.
But when it came time to, then it came back to me that it wasn't that way. It was, she shouldn't be doing this, and um,
And that's
she's
also
not
just
experienced
like
enough.
it's so
Yeah,
crushing because
yeah,
you're like looking up to somebody in a certain way and because you are who you are and I am who I am, like we would do the same thing for other people coming up. So
yeah.
like it's almost like how you feel when you find out for the
Right.
first time, like, oh my God, she's actually not helping me.
Right. And
Like,
that was really crushing to me
mhm.
because I was younger.
Yeah,
So, and I have advantages of being younger that, and she has advantages of being older and experienced. Like I'm inexperienced. I
yeah,
admit to that,
right.
and nobody's good at anything
A
when they
learning
first start.
mindset.
Yeah. So for that to be that was the first experience of toxicity where I was completely undermined and almost like backstabbed and I felt like wow, I can't trust this person and really and I had worked with this person for
Hmm.
many years because I
Yeah.
had worked there for many years and that was really upsetting.
Hmm.
So,
The aha moment for me
yeah.
when I realized that competition and community or whatever competition, no, community over competition, that like movement that was happening was complete bullshit for most people, was in a training setting, actually, where there was this like trainer that I absolutely looked up to and was doing like lots of national speaking, and I would like see these talks that she would do, and I'd be like, wow, like one day I would love to do something like that. And in like a train the trainer setting, she actually said like, well, you can't give everything away, like you have to keep some things to you, or like she was implying that she didn't like actually train people to train them. She was using it more for like her
Wow.
financial gains.
Right.
Yeah. And I was like, well, that's not
The
cool. Like
reason
if
to do
you're,
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
like if you're only just telling people stuff just because you're making money and you're not being truthful or authentic and like actually enjoy teaching someone something, then why are we doing it?
Right.
And then there was like all this stuff on the internet and like, similar to you in a practice where there was lots of girls, but like I've never actually had problems. I've worked in many different environments, like I've worked in emergency room, I've worked in ICUs and hospital settings and ORs where like and the OR can be known to be very territorial. So I kind of knew the landscape of how to navigate that through different practices that I worked at. And instantly I feel like when our little group got together, it was like a
Yes.
good connection.
Yes.
Like everybody got along. So it was like actually shocking to me to experience toxicity like outside of that little circle that we had, because like you said before, it's like crushing when you find out that someone doesn't have the same intentions as you.
Right. Right.
All right, so on that note, we'll move
We could talk all day on that. There's
we'll
a
move
lot of
along.
more examples, but that was one that sticks out to me.
Okay, so here we go. The bond between Rose and Chyna. I love this.
Yeah.
Why the SD plus injector friendship dynamic matters in breaking competition cycles.
Well, I feel like, our bond is there's no ego, there's no, we respect each other's lanes. And I feel like I can help with you and you can help with me and vice versa. Like what you know, what I know is, like what you always say, knowledge is power. And
Mm-hmm.
I love that. And you are more experienced than me, but you bring a wealth of knowledge to me and I hope I can bring to you. And I feel
Heck yeah.
like we have a good synergy and, that's
Yeah.
that's how I
I
feel.
think I think of it like somebody probably explained this to me in this way once before. So it's like when you see a waterfall, it's like this trickle down effect. And it's not like down meaning like there's a striation of class, but it's like just water is very fluid and it kind of all ends up in the same giant
Right.
area. So like in our industry, and I've primarily worked with surgeons, like the surgeon's knowledge can like filter into me, my knowledge can filter into you, and then we all like have this pool of the same patients. So like just very literally, I'm in an office now that does strictly facial plastic surgery. So we have facial plastic surgery, I do the non-invasives, you do the skincare, and like then it
All
evolves.
full
New patients
circle.
come.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
like your starting point isn't always the same, but eventually you end up through this like really nice cohesive care team so that patients get the best results.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I think if people just had that mindset more often, whereas like if I'm giving you a patient, I'm not afraid that they're gonna like leave me and go somewhere else. It's
Right.
like I'm expanding this into services that are complementary, that are just gonna enhance what I'm doing. And same for you. All right, here's the meaty stuff, the dark side of community over competition. All right, guys, we got to be careful.
Yeah.
Calling out the performative side of supporting women in aesthetics. I think that there are, and you can chime in too, I think that there are some women that will hold the title of, I'm a girl's girl and I support women and I'm a mom and I'm a single mom, or whatever their story is, and utilize that as a way to manipulate and control.
Oh, yeah. I have experienced that in a couple different situations.
Is there a PC example that we can give?
Hmm. Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, when I first met somebody I was going into business with, and I was freshly off of having a baby, and I sat down with this person, and I feel like
In fairness, I feel like this is the time in my life, every time I freshly off of having a baby,
yeah,
is where I had a lapse in.
judgment. I'm like, maybe I haven't communicated with adults in a long time. I don't know. Like I've just been inundated with baby diapers and wipes or
It's
whatever.
true. Lots of my patients were like,
What
"What
was I thinking?
happened?
Yeah.
What did you?
There's
Why did you? What?"
something not going on. Not I don't know. So anyway, and I kind of was in a different season of my life. I'm older. I have a newborn, and I'm taking a leap of faith with going out sort of on my own, but I also felt like I needed support. And I felt like I was really given a totally different representation of what was the agenda.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why, and I felt like it's fine, and ended up working out fine for me, but I'm glad that I recognized what was going on,
Yeah.
and loved myself enough and respected myself enough to not tolerate it.
True. And that's a good lesson, I think, too, because similarly, I think just because of the nature of my personality, and I am very giving. So like when people, patients, colleagues ask for things, I'm like, sometimes Dave even tells me like, you give too much away.
You
Like,
need to learn to
shut
say
up.
no.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like stop
A therapist told me
giving
that
it so
once.
much, for free. And it's true. Like
Hmm.
I just a silly example of this was like I recently had someone come shadow me, and she was like, how much do you charge for shadowing? I was like, for shadowing, you're following me around for the day, I don't know, buy me lunch, like
Right.
that sort of thing. And she's like, oh no, China, some people charge like $4,500 for shadowing days. I'm like, for shadowing? I
I
thought
read
that.
that somewhere. I
Yeah,
read
like,
that on like a TikTok or something.
nuts. So
Yeah.
to me, in my head, because like I said, I give too much away. So I think similarly, like when I just came off of having a baby, had a little lapse of judgment, I think that I mistook propositions of like, or promises of what would be
Right.
in the wrong way, and I think a lot of the times, because I'm so giving, people that are predatory will just take.
Hmm.
And it's when you stop giving and they can't take anymore, that then things turn
Turn
sour.
100%.
Like you said, when you like finally realize and stick up for yourself, and you're like, I respect myself way too much for this shit, and I'm getting out and I'm doing things, that's when they turn.
That's
And
when you get the cold shoulder, the yes,
isolation, the.
this like odd energy. It just feels like you just feel it. Like you can, I mean, that's with any, relationship, but you could feel like if you actually chirp up and say, I'm not doing this, this isn't,
Right.
good for me. And yeah, I've experienced that. And that's
The lesson I had to learn in that was I was very like anxious about the narrative that was being portrayed of me outside of my knowledge or outside of my control. And I, like what storyline was being told to other people in the industry, the reps, the doctors, whatever. And like I really had to work on trusting myself enough to know that like the people that believe those narratives that are false
right. Don't
really
know
aren't
you.
for me, and they never wanted to
Right.
know me. And then the ones that actually do know me aren't going to believe it. They're
Definitely.
just going to mold their own way or their own opinion. um Industry examples, social media clicks, fake collaborations, stolen ideas. Stolen ideas.
Stolen ideas. Or
I'm
cop or almost like I don't mind. Like I know like imitation is
flattery, but not.
flattery to a certain extent. To a certain extent.
So I'm going to call out my friend Katie. So Katie from Spiral Path Cauldron, we talk about this a lot because similarly, she has a lot of people that emulate her and what she's doing. She's a tarot card reader, so go check her out. But lots of people, I think, just are so impressed by her that they just copy shit.
Yeah.
And I feel like that I've had to reinvent myself a lot.
Right.
Because I don't know, why do you think that is? Do you think people are just like, wow, she makes it look so easy?
I think that they see something that they see something in you that they don't see in themselves, and maybe they, if they embody something you're embodying or you have, like maybe they'll be like that, or I really don't know. I don't really know the reason because, I mean, of course I like copy my sister and stuff like that, but I feel like that's,
I think that's normal.
That's normal and different or whatever, but like
you guys both have an excellent
yeah,
fashion
we're
sense.
both like I feel like it's there's a fine line or a gray area of like complimenting somebody and then just straight flat out like trying to like
body
clone
snatch.
you. Yeah, it's very strange and yeah, it's almost to the point where I was like a little creeped out, but yeah, that's kind of strange.
So I recently saw this like TikTok meme, I guess, and it said, I could give you the ingredients to make my sauce, but it's never going to be my sauce.
Right.
And this is true because I've tried to make my mom's sauce and it's not the sauce.
You have a little coffee on your nose. Like, was that there before?
We're very authentic on our podcast.
I can't let her go through the rest of this with that
girl. I'm leaving that in, by the way. All right. All right. We talked about our personal experiences without naming names.
We can deduce, if you know, you know.
If you know, you know. The mental health toll, imposter syndrome, burnout, and constant comparison. Yes.
Oh, yes.
Like and not throwing shade, honestly, just like in the industry in general. I feel like even without toxicity in your immediate environment, this happens to people. And I've talked about this on a podcast, imposter syndrome, so we don't have to like really dive into that, but the toxic drama environment really does take a mental toll.
Absolutely. My husband's like, how many times are you going to talk about this? Even my son,
I know,
who's 11, he's like, gosh, like,
well, yeah.
And they even see like, the stress that it brings to your home, like this, you're at work, you're trying to, make money and it's a struggle to just do that in itself. And then you have this to deal with on top of it.
Yeah. And then when you're stressed, you don't show up the best way for your family. Like Dave used to say, and my mom still says, like, why do you let people live rent free in your head? In fact, it costs me a lot of money because I pay a lot of money for therapy to help erase that. But it's true, like these and I'm just saying in general now, like toxic work environments, whether you're in corporate, you're at the hospital, you're in private practice, it really is an issue. And I think that like HR systems will advertise or front like this
facade
of compliance to these like certain employment laws, but at the end of the day, like HR isn't there to protect you as a human. They're there to protect the company that they're employed by. And like I worked in corporate medicine for the hospital for years and years, and everybody with half a brain cell knows that. But I think that there are some changes that can be made in the industry of healthcare as a whole. Is just like simple things, like if you have bad behavior that's middle school, take care of the bad behavior, or like not enable people because you're afraid to offend somebody, or use diagnoses as a fallback. Like everybody has an excuse, like, oh, I acted poorly because I have mental health issues.
No accountability at all.
And I mean, this starts at the school systems. Like even my kids go to public school, like, they have issues with kids, and it's like a whole system-wide issue.
Mm-hmm. Well, the fish rots from the head. So
heck yeah.
That's That's the
So chop
parents.
it off.
That's the parents. It trickles down to your kids. That's, upper management and, corporate level. And that's how it just trickles down. And it's all about what they stand for, what they tolerate. And, you know,
I do think too, like a lot of this stuff does stem from comparison. Tell me if I'm wrong, but if everybody just was okay with themselves and how they present themselves in the world and their ideas and were confident in that, you wouldn't give a shit what anyone else was doing.
no, I agree. I agree. I feel like if everybody, you know, I was just telling you, I was listening to a podcast and they were talking about different personalities and sometimes it's not what you say it, it's how you approach somebody. Somebody may not take criticism well, but it's on how you approach them or say it or word it. And understanding people more, I feel
Mm-hmm.
like
Yeah.
can be a good stepping stone, but also like recognizing when something's toxic and not tolerating it, and
Yeah.
where it's stemming from too, so
It's all a human experience. And like I
we're all just living for the
we're
first
all
time
just
here.
living somebody's life or whatever, right?
We're all in it together here.
But like one of my pet peeves in this is, and for a long time, like I was in the yoga community and kumbaya and meditate and like think about, you know, love and well being for everybody. But like, okay, so everybody has an issue. And then there was another thing that I recently read. I think it was like a Buddhist thing where it's like, okay, hurt people hurt. But that's not an excuse. Like that
Right.
doesn't mean that I should accept it. And also, I would think about things like this frequently when I was like the target of toxicity or whatever. I'd be like, well, they're just miserable
Right.
or their home life probably sucks and like or maybe they're just jealous of like what I have because I have a happy home life, like I have a good relationship and I have relationships with people. But then I look at it like this, like would I do that to somebody else?
Right.
Even when I was miserable?
Right.
I still
I
didn't.
still didn't.
You didn't
Yeah.
do it. I
I
didn't
feel like
do it.
we've both been through some
Yeah.
life lessons, and no, yeah, I definitely did not make it my priority to target somebody and unprovoked.
Like serial killers, right? They have childhood trauma most of the time. And
Right.
I'm going back to like psychology classes in college, but like they have all these traumas. Still not okay to murder somebody
Right.
though.
Right.
Anyway, all right. So staying grounded when surrounded with mean girl energy. So like I think we talked about some of this. Like so how do you recognize when you're in a toxic dynamic versus just healthy competition?
Well, I feel like the red flags for me were really like never being able to feel comfortable with this
Mhm.
person, like one on one. There's something there that it's not physical, not tangible. There's something there where if there's nobody else in the room and the two of us were together,
Mhm.
there's like an odd energy.
Yeah.
That's like, and I just try to distance myself from people like that. And it's really hard when you have to work in a closed
Yeah.
environment. Um, so I really like, and I hate to be phony, honestly, I'm really not. And I had a conversation. This was actually brought to HR with this person, and this was an example of me like just keeping to myself, doing my work, coming in, leaving, and that's always in and of itself is terrible. You want to be able to enjoy going to work and not having to dread being around this person. But
Right.
um, I had approached it head on and said, this is the way you make me feel, and this is why. And it was, of course, a surprise. And the response was like, well, you don't even say hello to me in the morning. I'm like, okay, well, there's a reason for that. And I'm telling you why I don't say hello to you in the morning. Like, I distance myself. That's how I keep my peace.
Yeah.
That's why I just don't,
I feel like people like that will always make it about them.
Yeah.
Like there's
Right.
always going to be an excuse
Right.
and things like that. But I agree with you. I think that if you're questioning, like after listening to this, if you're like, am I in a toxic work environment
Right.
or am I in a toxic space? It's how you feel. Like
Yeah.
your instincts are going to tell you immediately, like, hey, healthy competition is different. I think like we're friends and I have friends outside of outside of here, or meaning like the industry, and there's like a healthy pushing each other to do better.
Do better.
Like,
Learn
hey,
more, do
yeah,
better.
like let's go to this conference. Oh, I see, like, there's this new technology. Let's go learn it. Where you could push each other to do better. It's not it that doesn't give you the like tummy
No.
rumbles
No.
and diarrhea. That gives you like a happy feeling,
Yeah.
or like you feel supported. And I think like if you're not feeling supported, and if you're feeling anxious, and like you're getting the ick to go to work every day, it's there, you're not stuck. Like there's options out there. And yes, there is this competitive nature in aesthetics, and yes, people are like tripping over each other to get in, but
Right.
like there is if it's meant for you, there is a spot. And I just feel like no one, it's just there if you take the leap. And these positions don't become available to you until you're okay with the fact of like, I'm not putting up with this. Like,
Right.
I'm out of here.
Absolutely. Yep.
And that's what happens.
Well, there's always like a red flag too. A lot of high turnover, or
Yeah, I would
you have to
say.
pay attention to that too, and if you do go into like a work environment that has a lot of employees, or you maybe know someone that's worked there, like
Yeah.
pick their brain
Mm-hmm.
before you commit to working
Mm-hmm.
somewhere. Find out the tea,
Yeah.
and most of the time it's you have to educate yourself with that kind of thing.
I will also say this too, as a provider, what I've realized, and over many different avenues of specialty. So I worked for many years in emergency medicine in the hospital, and then transitioned to plastics and yada yada. Sometimes the most restrictive contracts is a red flag, because like every healthy environment that I've been in has like really nothing restrictive. Like
Right.
they're just like,
They're not afraid to.
we want you to be
Yeah.
happy. We think you'll be happy here, and like let's fucking
Right.
go. And then like, I do understand like in corporate, like especially when you're in the hospital setting, there has to be like some structure in place so that you're not going from one hospital system to the next. And I do understand that to some degree, but I guess the point of this is just make sure you have an attorney that specializes in healthcare employment law to guide you through.
Always have an attorney. If someone's giving you a contract and you're not a lawyer, my uncle's a lawyer, and he told me this is many years ago, and this has nothing to do with employment contract. This is actually everything to do with family law, which he wasn't a family lawyer either.
And he's not giving us advice.
And he's not giving us advice. Yeah, let me just plug that. He's not even a lawyer in New Jersey, but
we're not even telling you.
Nope, you'll never know. I had I was young at the time, but he said there's two things in life you need people for, and that's a lawyer and a mechanic. And he's super right. He's super right. So if you have a contract, or someone presents you with any contract, to always have a lawyer look it over, because there may be some verbiage in there that you don't understand. Yeah. And I mean, now I guess we have ChatGPT, so
yeah, that's true.
You can represent yourself.
Also, like, business is business. So if anyone takes offense to you asking questions, also red flag. If you're asking questions and people are throwing shade and like being shady,
yeah,
that's another red flag.
Yep.
When you're confident and you're not pulling the wool over somebody's eyes, like it's very straightforward. Yeah. Like, sure, you have questions, like let's talk to somebody about it.
Transparency is important. So
how do we build real relationships in aesthetics? How do you collaborate without any expectation? This is easy for me. I just go in and I'm like, hey girl, let's get you going. And then I think that it just makes me feel good as a person. So like I don't need anything else.
Right. I think it comes very easy and natural. It's not like something you have to necessarily put energy into. I support everybody I've ever really worked with, especially my fellow estheticians, people I haven't even worked with.
Mm-hmm.
And, sometimes they'll even come to me still, to this like very weak, miserable in their job, not even anywhere we work.
Yeah.
But like asking for my advice. And I feel like it comes very natural to support and to, cheerlead for anybody that.
Yeah. It just came to me. Like, I think we just, to break the cycle, it was just an urethral download. Like, we just have to teach people how to like love themselves and respect yourself, because like if you do, then you don't allow this treatment and this nonsense.
Yeah.
All right, reclaiming the narrative. What true community actually looks like. It looks like this.
Yeah.
It looks
True
like this,
support.
hand in hand, like
Silent support.
silent support. I love
Yes.
that. How do we lead by example instead of playing small? This is a big one. I think as women, I'm going to go off a whole tangent here, but I think as women, we are by design or like DNA inputted from like even our grandparents, our grandmothers to like stay small because it was a survival
Right.
instinct. Like women were, everyone was scared of women. They would like persecute women. They would call you a witch if you were powerful. They would like, like sentence you to death for having knowledge. So I think like in our DNA, it is written that for survival, we have to stay small. And like, I worked with a nurse who I love, and she's probably going to be listening, but she always used to see me and be like, you don't have your sparkle today. Like, put your sparkle out there. And it's true because I think in some environments you feel like, okay, I have to not be so loud or I have
Right.
to not be so flamboyant to
Outspoken.
fit in.
Right. It's true. I feel like and we are and I feel like when there is a female and we work in a very female dominant industry,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like there's a level of having to like prove yourself, and that power almost turns into like an ego driven.
Yeah, and then like not being bigger than the other
Right.
person because you might insult them,
Right.
which is bullshit. Like level up.
Everybody can coexist.
Level up, ladies.
Everybody can coexist.
Step up to the plate.
Yeah.
So rapid fire.
Oh Lord.
Real segment, real talk.
Yes.
All right. So what we're going to do is I'm going to say something and you're going to say the first thing that comes to mind. All right?
Okay.
Let me get my notes.
I got my notes because
She pre-planned this.
I did. I'm a planner, If you fail to prepare, you prepare to fail, right?
I love it.
So I'm always trying to prepare myself.
All right. Prettiest thing you've ever seen in aesthetics.
Prettiest
Prettiest.
or pettiest?
Oh, shit. See? I can't
See,
even
I studied. Prettiest thing is sitting right next to me.
Oh, you're so cute. The prettiest thing sitting next to me is you too. Petty. All right, let's. We did prettiest. Thank you for the plug. Now the pettiest thing you've ever
Pettiest.
seen.
Now this is juicier.
I'm really fighting the glasses. So
I tried to get her a coffee too. We had to give her some ammunition.
Pettiest thing you've ever seen.
Pettiest thing. Okay. Well, I have a couple examples. So from two different spectrums of my career.
Okay.
One petty thing was literally hoarding like all the sheets, blankets,
Yes.
robes in a room, and so like I couldn't have any. So there was just like no sheets and no blankets and no robes. And this person didn't even put robes on their client. I'm like, why do you have all the robes in your room? You don't even use them. That was pretty petty.
That's crazy.
That
For
was
me,
pretty
it was
petty.
sabotaging my like order supply, like my supply chain. It was like, hey, did we get these in yet? And they were like, no, I don't know what happened. It was ordered, and then like find out it was never ordered. So it was like shit like that. That was just dumb as shit.
Yeah.
One red flag in a colleague.
Trying to be Insta famous. I don't know,
Yes.
trying to go viral, making
Yes.
that like a priority over like their own I don't know, investing in something that like is very superficial versus like continuing to I don't know, perfect themselves and what they do.
I'll elaborate on that. It's like the people that for me the red flag is like they have their hand in everything. They get paid from every company. They love everything about everything, and it's just like that's a red flag because
that's
how you gotta not like something or like there especially there's competitive markets and that yes I'm just gonna elaborate on that.
Yeah.
Community over competition, overrated or misunderstood?
I think it's misunderstood. I feel like there needs to be some level of healthy competition.
I'm going to disagree and say that it's overrated.
Okay.
But I'm gonna say like this. It's like at the highest level, there's no competition. There's only collaboration. So I'm gonna leave it with that.
I like that. I do love that.
What is your beauty philosophy in one word? Ooh, this is a
Ooh,
good one.
beauty philosophy in one word. I'm gonna say integrity.
Fuck yeah.
Integrity, only because I feel like that can cover a lot of things with who you are as a person, how you are as a provider, um, and yeah, I'll leave it at
Mic drop. I have nothing to say.
that.
What keeps you grounded when there's a room full of egos?
Mm.
Oh, this is a good one.
Keeps me grounded, honestly, is, I've been through a lot in my life for being only 38, like a lot of things most people don't experience maybe till later in their life. So my family keeps me grounded. I
Mm.
feel like my husband keeps me grounded. I'll plug him because he's like, you never talk about me. And I'm like, what do you want me to say? But he keeps me grounded. He's self-made and came from literally nothing.
Yeah.
So that keeps me grounded. That makes me feel like he supports me 150% in my business and my ventures. He's my biggest cheerleader, so I feel like I can go
I like
home to
that.
that, and he's my bestie, so
I love it.
that
I
keeps me
will
grounded.
say for me, it's been, and I've worked in a lot of rooms of egos, coming from the operating room and surgery. I just like stereotypically, there's lots of egos, it's just knowledge.
Yeah.
No one can, I learned this like very early on in my career, like no one can ever pimp you out or like make you feel small if you have knowledge, because what are they going to do? Say, Chyna, you're smart, So I always used to make sure that if I was engaging in conversation that I had some sort of knowledge, and that if I didn't know something, I would just say that and stand in that and be like, I don't know the answer. Maybe you can show me or teach me something new.
Right.
So that's always been how I navigated that. All right, cool. So we've gotten through the whole agenda.
All
Look
right.
at us. So now what would you, in closing, give us a wish that you have for the industry, like for normalization, like to make it normal.
I wish that we would give each other more grace, and I wish that people would, I don't know, just not be so freaking catty and vindictive and retaliatory. And if something in your personal life isn't making you happy, like, change it. It shouldn't be ammunition to target other people. I feel like there was definitely times in my life where I was unhappy with my personal life, but I use that as fuel to make my life better and make
Oh yeah.
and make changes in my life to make myself happy. And it's part of the reason why I do what I do. I went back to school, and I feel like, when you surround yourself with positivity and good people and you're in a good place, you don't really, all that noise kind of just dissipates. And I wish this community would support each other a little more.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's how I feel.
And I'm going to say that life as an adult is not middle school cafeteria. So if you're still stuck in your middle school mentality, I'm going to come closer to the mic and say it. Go see a therapist. It's okay. Therapy is great,
Therapy
but
is crude.
I
Yeah.
feel like you have to, in seriousness, like it's okay to work on yourself so that you could show up as an adult for other people.
Yeah. For yourself, the most.
With that being said, everybody, thank you for listening to the Markup Podcast. This is Rose. I will tag her stuff below.
Come see me.
Rose, where can they find you?
So I am on the Circle and Wall on 1985 Route 34, Suite 9A.
And who are you on Instagram?
I am Jersey Shore Facialist.
The famous.
Yes. So yeah.
Go see her for some glowing
Yes.
skin.
Yes. I have lots of tricks and treats.
Until next
Halloween.
time. Also, like, share, comment, tell us what your experiences are in this land or how you deal with middle school mentality. And we'll see you next time on the Markup. Bye.
Hi, everybody. It's Rose, aka the Jersey Shore Facialist. Please like And subscribe to the Markup Podcast if you love to hear China talk as much as I do.